Hello everybody. I'm just creating this video to help us get back to Mass this weekend and to do so as safely as we can. But first I want to introduce Mr. Nicholas Monin. He moved into the rectory yesterday with Father Ken and Father Joachim and I. He's with us for the summer. He's a son of St. Matthew, and we'll say more about him in the future. But just so you know, we started inside because it's windy and it's going to be really tough to hear outside. But I'll have Nicholas pretend he's the usher, and you can go open the door, Nicholas. We're just going to turn around and aim at you. So when you come to church, somebody should be holding the door open for you, and that way you don't have to touch any surfaces, you just come right in. Of course, we should all be wearing masks when we come to church, of course, because we're not going to be able to maintain the 6 feet of social distance at the times, especially that we're moving around so close to each other. I live with this guy, and I'm really far away from you guys holding the camera, so that's why I don't have a mask on right now. But we'll just come into church, and I'll show you guys what to expect. We have plenty of hand sanitizer, so folks, feel free to hand sanitize when you get in. In the vestibules, we get another guy right here. But when you come into church, you'll notice now that all of the pews have been marked in a way that you can tell where you can sit. So every other pew essentially is off limits, and of course there is 6 feet then between pews with a pew between them. So the general rule of thumb, and this is really, really simple, is that one household occupies one pew, unless, of course, two can occupy the same pew with 6 feet in between them. So if we have couples, for instance, they can typically occupy a longer pew, provided they sit on the ends. But other than that, you can feel free to pick your own seat. We're not going to tell you where to sit. When you come forward to receive communion, the ushers will instruct you to just come through. We're all going to come to the main aisle. Even the side pews are going to now just pass through the central pews. That's to help us to maintain some distance rather than walk past a bunch of people down a narrow aisle in the back. But when you come forward for communion, as households, of course, you can continue to maintain, some closeness with each other as you're in line. Different households should maintain that 6 feet between. And of course, when you get close to being able to receive communion, you can take your mask off to be able to receive communion. You'll probably find that the priest will say the body of Christ very softly, so it might sound more like the body of Christ. Before you get close to the priest, you'll find that he'll probably say the body of Christ softly. You can respond amen, also softly, since you're not wearing a mask either at that point. And then you would come forward in the normal way. So it would be about as if I'm right here. I would make my bow. The priest might say the body of Christ. I would say amen, and then I would come forward. Communion will take longer. There's only going to be 2 of us distributing in church, and it's only going to be the priest for the time being. You can always receive either on the tongue or in the hand. The priest will pause if he touches you before the next communion. He'll pause, he'll purify his fingers, he'll re-sanitize his hands, and he will continue on distributing Holy Communion after that. One other note that you'll find when we're in church too is that we're not going to be singing. Some research shows that there can be an aerosolizing effect of droplets that could contain the virus by way of singing. So we'll enjoy some instrumental music for the time being. We'll participate very actively, but more internally, as we just listen attentively to the music that is being played, that is instrumental. And we're just going to go through what dismissal looks like very quickly. Communion will take place at the normal time during Mass. You'll just return to your pews. Of course, you'll place your mask back on after you receive communion, and you'll remain there until Mass is concluded. The ushers will be assisting with dismissal only to keep it as orderly and as socially distant as possible. So the 4 ushers will simply be 2 for the side sections of the pews and 2 for the main sections. The side sections of the pews, very simply, the usher would instruct those sitting here to go ahead and proceed out the side door here. Same thing for the side section on the other side of church. And then, of course, the main sections of pews will exit toward the main aisle and then just simply remain on either side of that aisle to exit the church and remain, again, as socially distant as they possibly can. But of course, with the mask, given that we will be a little bit closer to one another during that time as well. And since we do not know what to expect by way of numbers, and also given that some folks may prefer to have additional social distance, we have available for the 4:30 Saturday, 9:15 Sunday, and 11:15 Sunday, an additional Mass happening here in the school. So you would simply enter here off the doors on 3rd Street and come right in. Again, we'll have ushers. They should be holding the doors open for you. And if you'll just follow me, we'll show you what to expect there. Again, plenty of sanitizer as you come in. And as you get a sense of this space, very aggressively socially distanced. We have groupings of 5 chairs, and they're all spaced at least 8 feet apart. So much easier to move around without getting close to anyone. As you can see too, we were able to rescue the old convent altar that was in the basement of the church and bring that over here, as well as the old tabernacle from the convent as well. So when you come to Mass here in the gym, you may treat this space in exactly the same way you treat the church. The Blessed Sacrament will be reserved in the tabernacle. You can genuflect to that. You can pray in here. The Lord will be present. And we're simply going to have Mass. There's no organ, there's no piano over here, so what I mentioned about the instrumental music we could listen to in the church, and we will, over here it's going to feel more like a daily Mass where we just simply speak the Mass, and the priest will just kind of lead us in prayer by that way. Coming forward for communion, we might not have as many ushers here, but we'll just simply come to the middle aisle and head right down the middle aisle, just like we do in church. So should be very simple. All of the other things apply. And the ushers will facilitate some of the dismissal as well, but it's going to be a lot easier for folks to know how to move around and maintain distance in this space regardless anyway. Thank you guys so much. I can't wait to see you this weekend. Of course, for those that may be most at risk of death should they contract COVID, they're encouraged to remain home. But again, anyone may return to church, and all of these additional restrictions are particularly in mind for those who would be most at risk among us. See you this weekend, or I'll see you later, whatever you choose. God bless you. Love you guys very much.